Namaskar and Adab to all my friends. This is your friend astrologer Irfan once more with you. Today we are going to talk about the recent transit, about a couple of weeks back transit of Rahu and Ketu in Gemini and Sagittarius respectively. Now why is this transit very important is not only because Rahu and Ketu transit for about 1.5 years each in each sign, which may be a specific house for different ascendants. However, at the same time, Saturn is already in transit in Sagittarius along with Ketu just transiting there, which means that the results that you get will be a combination of results of Rahu placed in one house and Saturn and Ketu, both of them placed directly opposite Rahu in the other house. Now, depending on what ascendant you are, different results may manifest. So, for example, for Gemini, Rahu is placed in the Lagna, whereas Ketu and Saturn are transiting through your 7th house. So, results will come accordingly with Rahu activating the first house of the Lagna, whereas Ketu and Saturn absorbing or limiting the energy of the 7th house. So, I have made different videos based on different ascendants for this particular transit. Today's video is about the Rahu and Ketu transit for Scorpio ascendant natives. For Scorpio, this is a very important transition because this transit is happening in the 8th house of longevity, life, unexpected events, untoward events, obstacles, and so on and so forth. Whereas the 2nd house is the house of income, language, food, dependence, savings, etc. With both of these very important houses getting activated and results coming accordingly, specifically because Rahu and Ketu in the 8th house and the 2nd house are considered to be the most malefic of placements. So this is going to be a very challenging time for Scorpio ascendant natives because of this particular transition. And it's very important to understand according to your own personal horoscope where your planets are sitting, so that you can analyze based on this transit what results can you look at or expect from your specific planetary placements. Now, before I go further, what is a transit? Because some of the people who are watching my videos are asking me, what does a transit mean? Now, I was giving you the videos assuming that most of you understand transit, but let me give you some clarity before we go on. Whereas I'll make a different video specifically on transits explaining what they mean. When you're born, it's like all the planets are placed in a certain sign and a house. And based on which is the rising sign at the time of your birth, that becomes your ascendant. And it's like a picture of the zodiac is taken at the time of your birth, and that picture becomes your life's journey. So it's like a picture taken of a moving car. If the moving car is moving from one place to the other, and in between, suppose it is going 100 meters, from 0 to 100 meters the car is running. At the 10th meter you take a picture, so that picture of the car at the 10th meter becomes the life journey. However, the car is not stopped there, the car is moving. Similarly, the planets in the zodiac are always in a state of motion or moving. So when you are born, at the exact moment the picture of the planets placed there was taken, and that became your horoscope. However, because planets don't stop there and keep moving into different signs and houses, based on which sign the planet moves in and which house the planet moves in, according to the placements in your natal chart and horoscope and the dasha or the period that you're going through, the results come by accordingly. So that's why transits are very, very important. The most important transits are considered to be of Jupiter and Saturn, because Jupiter transits for a year in a sign or a house, whereas Saturn transits for almost 2.5 years. So there is a long duration in between. So whenever Jupiter and Saturn transit a sign or house, they fructify or give results based on the placements in your horoscope and what the transit is giving. So it's a combination of results which combine. The other two transits which are very important are of Rahu and Ketu, because not only are these very malefic planets, but they are also planets of very high energy, giving you very high results where Rahu is placed in or transiting from, whereas Ketu on the other hand is very high absorbent, completely absorbs and negates the results of the sign and house it sits in, and brings about a change, a huge stupendous change in your life or an opportunity also. That's why their transits are very important as well. But the other reason their transits are important because they transit for almost 1.5 years or 1.5 years in each sign or house that they are transiting through. What is transit? Being in a sign, in a placement, or in a journey through a sign or house. The journey takes about 1.5 years for Rahu and Ketu. The journey from moving from one house to another house or one sign to another sign for Saturn takes about 2.5 years. Whereas that journey for Jupiter takes about a year. Now, based on Moon, which transits between few days to Mars, which takes months, the transits give you results accordingly. However, the most important transits are the transits of Rahu, Ketu, Jupiter and Saturn. And why this particular transit of Rahu and Ketu is very important is because Ketu and Saturn are now placed in Sagittarius, the sign of Jupiter, and Jupiter is transiting through Scorpio. Because Ketu is a denoter of Scorpio and Saturn is a Karaka of the 8th house, which is also the original house of Scorpio, so Scorpio is activated. And because Jupiter is placed in Scorpio right now, transiting through that, Jupiter is also activated. So this one transit is giving the results of all 4 planets in transit at one time, at one go. That's why this transit is extremely important and should be taken with that seriousness. Now that we have talked a little bit about transits and what they mean, let's jump into what results this particular transit is going to give for Scorpio ascendants. So let's look at the Rahu and Ketu transition in the 8th house and the 2nd house for Scorpio ascendants. For Scorpio ascendants, Rahu is transiting through the 8th house in Gemini. Now what is the 8th house for? The 8th house is the house of longevity or life, or we also call it the house of length of life, or it denotes the length of life. Plus it is also the house of obstacles, of sudden events, sudden challenges, sudden ailments, sudden diseases, accidents, hidden wealth, virtual wealth, anything related to government, related to taxation, related to all those things which are hidden under the ground, such as metals, minerals, oil, jewels, all that you extract and take or bring forth from under the ground outside. Plus it is also the house of hidden knowledge, knowledge of the occult, knowledge of magic, demonic or devilish forces, of all those information which is hidden, which is also related to that information which is not easily accessible, or other people's money and also in-laws. So 8th house is a pretty heavy house and it is very important house, just like a lot of others, but because it is denoting the length of life also. Now Rahu, when transiting through the 8th house, increases the hunger or the greed or aspiration or the focus on the 8th house. So what does this mean? First of all, the 8th house is a natural house relation with Scorpio, because Scorpio in the Kalpurush chart or an Aries chart owns the 8th house. So it is also a Karaka or a denoter of the 8th house. So when Rahu sits in the 8th house for Scorpio ascendants, it increases all those attributes which anyway the Scorpio ascendants are related to. So increasing the hunger for knowledge of all that is buried underground, increasing the knowledge for all that is hidden, occult sciences, and all that is coming out of the 8th house, such as government jobs, work related to taxations, life insurances, finance management, wealth management for others, and also the government. So while sitting there, Rahu increases the aspiration or hunger or the focus on that. So a lot of Scorpio ascendant natives will start re-looking at what have they done so far in life. It will be a reality check for them. Are they going the right direction? Have they done what they wanted to do in life? Can they do something more? They will also start talking or thinking in terms of their own life. Some of them may question and think about how healthy they are, how long they are going to live. They may also look at whether they are going to live long enough. They may also try and dig out or take interest in astrology, may reach out to astrologers and other people who are in the occult, including tarot card readers or psychics, to know more about their own life and own life goals. Some of them may also reach out to know what their karma is, what their life journey is about, what their purpose of life is, and so forth. On a career front, because it is related to other people's monies, wealth, taxations, so people who are related to these industries will find that this is of the essence, which means there will be some of the other dynamism which comes to that house for those natives who are in those industries. So they will find that either the work increases in their respective divisions when they are related to taxation or insurance and government related works, government contracts, and there also may be health issues where they may suddenly start health issues which they were not able to see forthcoming earlier, and because of it they have to suddenly go and see the doctor, visit clinics, visit hospitals. So all this may happen during Rahu's transit through the 8th house for Scorpio ascendants. Visits to the hospitals or seclusion is also denoted more because of Rahu's 5th aspect falling on the 12th house in Libra. So placed in the 8th house and aspecting the 12th house, Rahu gives a tendency that if there are any untoward incidents and if Rahu is not placed well in your natal chart, then because of sudden events and sudden accidents or sudden shooting up of health challenges, a person or the Scorpio native may go to hospitals, may even get admitted there, or small accidents may take place because of which you may have to get yourself checked up. Sometimes you may just want to do a health checkup because you feel you're going through a bad transit and you're also thinking about your life. So you may also visit hospitals and clinics for a health checkup. That may also happen. The other thing Rahu does sitting in the 8th house and aspecting the 12th is because the 8th house is the house of sudden events. Suddenly you may also go to foreign lands. You may get involved with foreign clients, with foreign associates, or you may actually you may travel to foreign distant lands for government related work or all those work which gets associated with metals, taxation, with jewelry, and also for finance and wealth management if you are working in companies which are related to finance, even banking. Rahu aspecting the 12th house also has a tendency to increase the expenses. So Scorpio natives need to be careful of how they manage their finances during the transit. And because this is going to be in transit in the 8th house for about 1.5 years, so 1.5 years Scorpio natives need to be careful of how they are spending their money, where their money is going, and they need to keep a tab on their finances and their expenses. Specifically, the expenses may go up and unplanned expenses may also go up. And some of these expenses may be to travel, maybe for clinic or hospital visits, and also on relatives, because Rahu is aspecting the 12th house in the sign of Libra, and because Libra also gets related to Venus. So for men, Rahu aspecting the 12th house, which is also the house of bed pleasures, means, and related to Venus, means you may spend more money on your spouse, your romantic other half,
and because of that you may end up spending more money. Your expenses may also shoot up. Because the 12th house is also the house of jails, seclusion, and also lawsuits. So Scorpio natives need to be careful because there may be a sudden development of some notices, some challenges, even accidents which may entail that you visit police station more or even the courts more. If there are any Scorpio natives who have some court cases pending, then that may come to fruition. That may suddenly get triggered, and either a result may come about during this transit, or if cases were pending and there were no hearing dates, the hearing dates may come up suddenly, and you may see that you have started to go more often to the police station or also to handle court cases. But this is only for those who have those cases around them and they are dealing with them. Certain other things may also happen if things are not in favor in your natal charts, in your own horoscopes. The other aspect of Rahu is on the 4th house. Now the 4th house is the house of riches, comforts, property, vehicles, and all luxurious items that you own. Plus it is also the Karaka of your domestic happiness, mental peace, plus also mother. So Rahu placed in the 8th house aspecting the 4th house, but because Rahu co-lords Aquarius, this means that the malefic aspect of Rahu will be less on the 4th house. However, sudden challenges or sudden events may happen around property, around vehicles, around other material comforts and other material items. If you're buying property, you may want to buy a larger house, you may want to buy a larger car, you may want to buy a more luxurious car, and the focus will be more on more, because Rahu gives that hunger, gives that greed, and the focus will be on home. Plus Scorpio natives may want to spend more time at home and with their family, and they may also visit mother, or may also find that mother is getting involved in affairs of the house also. Because the 4th house has the sign of Aquarius, some natives who are into consulting and on their own may also find that they are working out of their homes to do or to get income into their pockets, because the 4th house is the house of material gains. So they may find that such natives may find that they work out of home, working for large organization or working for the general good of society through their communication, because Rahu is placed in or transiting through Gemini, and using technology, and also some of their clientele may be from foreign lands. So this is a strong sign of people working out of home in a consulting space using communication technology to earn money and for larger society, benefit of society, but also so that they earn and gain. Now what does Ketu placement in the 2nd house mean in Sagittarius? Wherever Ketu is placed in, Ketu absorbs the results of the particular sign and house. Sitting in the 2nd house, Ketu absorbs all the earnings and the savings which come into the house or into home. Which means during the transit period, there may be reduced income, or Ketu may stop any extra profit or extra income coming into the house if it doesn't reduce. However, Ketu will not allow high gains or more than normal gains for the 2nd house or earnings coming to the 2nd house. If Ketu is placed in a malefic placement in your natal chart, in your birth horoscope, then you may even find that earnings are reduced and expenses go up, because of which you have to eat into your savings. Second, Ketu placed in the 2nd house absorbs the results of food, so you may not focus too much on food. You may be so busy that you don't care too much about what you're eating. Even foodies will find normally that they take so much interest in food and get more flavor out of food may find that their focus on food is reduced because hard work and their focus being somewhere else. Also, because of Rahu sitting in the 8th house and aggression coming because of sudden developments, and Ketu sitting in the 2nd house of language, such a native may also start using harsh language, even abusive language, which they are not accustomed to using before. And because Ketu is sitting in the house of home or family or dependence, then the family may also be at the receiving end of such harsh or abusive language, or language which is uttered without thinking too much. So Scorpio natives need to relook at how they are dealing at home, keep a tab on what kind of language they are using, try and develop more patience and deal with issues at hand more patiently. The 5th aspect of Ketu is on the 6th house in Aries, which is the house of service, house of enemies, competition, also the house of loss of marriage because it is 12th to the 7th house, and of working with subordinates, working with colleagues. So what Ketu's aspect on the 6th house does is, it directly affects your job. And normally what it does is, because it absorbs the results of the house that it aspects, Scorpio natives will find that they are less interested in office politics, less interested in competition, and they avoid competition, or even if they indulge in it, they don't get gains out of it. Because a malefic planet is aspecting a malefic house, so it lessens the malefic afflictions of the particular house. However, it does bring about some change in your job. Either you may not get the benefits or gains out of that, out of your service or your job, or there may be sudden change because Ketu also brings with it some change in the sign and the house that it transits. So be careful, Scorpio natives, that this transition may bring about some change in your job, some change in your role, some change in how you work, who you work with, because the 6th house is also the house of colleagues and your subordinates. And while your health may, Ketu's aspect may protect your health, but because it is the fiery sign of Aries, you may also find that sudden ailments may also come about, though not serious. Unless Ketu is not well placed in your natal chart, then this may bring sudden and chronic ailments, because the 6th house is the house of chronic ailments, while 8th house is the house of sudden ailments. So a visit to hospitals and clinics may also come about because of 6th house being aspected, Rahu placed in 8th house, and 12th house also being aspected. The other aspect of Ketu is on the 10th house of career, which means the native will take less interest in affairs of work or at work. He may find that he is less keen on taking up new projects, taking up new assignments. He may not get along very well with supervisors and managers and superiors because of being seen less active, and a little bit of laziness creeps in how he deals with career. So Scorpio natives need to be careful of how their career progresses during this time, because if they are expecting promotions, they are expecting growth, increment, then Ketu absorbing the energy of the 10th house may bring in friction and also a roadblock to their growth, increment and gains from career. Now Saturn placed in the 2nd house also limits the results of the house it sits in. So Saturn will also limit the income coming into the home or income coming from career. And so with Ketu already placed there, both Saturn and Ketu's malefic energies will ensure that money doesn't come into the house at all, or earnings don't come, or if they come only after a lot of hard work, lot of organized effort, lot of focused effort, and only diligently and with perseverance working over a period of time. So Scorpio natives will have to be a little careful on the expenses and focus on working more harder so that their earnings are not affected and gains keep coming into the house. Because Saturn's aspects are also malefic, so you will find that its third aspect on the fourth house, while Rahu is also aspecting, will mean that while a Scorpio native will want to take more interest in the fourth house affairs, want a larger house, want more money, more gains, more material possessions, vehicles, electronic items and so on and so forth coming into the house, and wanting to get more time from family, more mental peace from family, more domestic bliss, Saturn's aspect, though on the own house, own sign, will slow down the results of the respective house, and you will have to spend more time and work hard on your relations to be able to get mental peace. There may be some unusual events and activities at home, because of which you may also find that the focus at home goes up. However, you also need to put in long hours at home or for the affairs of home, for repairs of the house, for repair of the vehicles, or for buying products, buying electronics and so on. The other aspect of Saturn is on Rahu itself in the 8th house. Because Saturn is aspecting Rahu in the sign of Gemini in the 8th house, the malefic aspect increases the tendency of Rahu, while at the same time limits its energy of expanding or exponentially getting results out of the particular sign and its aspects. So Saturn in a way puts a ring or puts a roadblock on Rahu and limits its energy to get more gains out of its own placement in the 8th house, its aspect in the 12th and its aspect on the 4th house. So Scorpio natives will find that in banking industry, in taxation, in financial wealth management, in items related to mining, oil or ancient texts or occult, their results coming out of that will be limited and will come only after a lot of hard work, a lot of perseverance and taking a lot of organized approach to work. And Saturn's 10th aspect is on the 11th house of gains in the sign of Mercury itself, which is Virgo. So Rahu is transiting through Gemini, which is a sign of Mercury, and Saturn is aspecting the 11th house in the sign of Virgo, which is a sign of Mercury, which means that Saturn limits the gains out of the 11th house, because the 11th house is also an Upachaya house. So the results that a native gets out of the 11th house will be reduced or come through only after a lot of diligent effort and over a period of time. So Scorpio natives will have to buck up, will have to pull up their socks and work very hard if they are working in large organizations, or to get gains out of their social network or extended network or their contacts, especially if you are in business or you are working in a large organization in a role which requires you to deal with and relate to other people. So you will have to work hard, you will have to work with your network and your social circle and diligently with patience to get the results of the 11th house.
Now that we have seen the results that Rahu and Ketu transit along with Saturn is going to give for Scorpio ascendant natives, please reach out to me for a personal consultation about your respective horoscope, because the results could be different based on your horoscope, while generally the results we have already discussed for Scorpio ascendant natives. So please reach out to me on my email ID at the links given below for a personal consultation. Please subscribe to this channel, because many more videos are going to come forth for you every now and then with regularity. I promise to give you more in-depth explanations with all the combinations possible, so that no angle is left out in the analysis. So till we meet for yet another video, this is goodbye from your friend Irfan. Ciao.